everyone. My name is Sam, back again on Sam Gale Talks. This time I'm talking to ex-Reading, now plays in League One with Bristol Rovers, Josh Barrett. Josh, thank you for coming on.
Whereas, mate, no problem.
In this chat, I want to get little bits of your career / milestones, what you're currently doing as well. But we'll firstly start off with, how has isolation been for yourself?
Yeah, do you know what? It hasn't been too bad really, because obviously when I signed for Bristol in January. So from that time, I was in a hotel up until right until the season got ended, kind of thing, for the lockdown. So I was in a hotel for quite a while. So I was able in the time, because it's quite hard during this when the season's going on, because there's so many games. So it's quite hard to sort out places and that. So I managed to sort out a new place here. Managed to move up about a month and a bit ago. I think it was the 1st of last month I moved up here. So it's been good, because I've been trying to get everything sorted for here and that, and kept myself busy really. And it's quite a good area, because I've got football pitches at the back of the house and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been good for the fitness side of things as well.
So is that where you've been able to do your maintenance of fitness, and it's sort of perfect for having the pitches outside?
Yeah, definitely, because I literally walk around the corner of the house, and the pitches are right there, so it's really easy. Because sometimes it's quite hard if you're having to drive places and go different places or find somewhere. I've been quite lucky to have it right there outside the house, and then obviously I've been getting sent the stuff from Bristol. What they want us to be doing and stuff, and obviously it's quite hard, because it's been all up in the air with when we're going back and when we're not, what's happening, kind of thing. So yeah, it's just been kind of keeping myself ticking over, and some days I do more, some days on the weekends I have a day off or whatever. So yeah, it's been all right. It's been quite easy, to be fair, so far.
Yeah, decent. Obviously, we'll go back to the start where it all began for you. Where did your interest sort of come from in terms of football?
Yeah, well, obviously I grew up in Oxford. Back in the day when I was younger, and I had my uncle Billy. He played for Oxford when he was, he made a couple of appearances in the first team, when he was younger, and I think just him really. I was really young. I used to play football with him. I used to stay at my nan and granddad's a lot when I was young. They used to live around the house, around the corner from my mum and dad's house. So I used to go around there a lot, be around there a lot with him, and spend so much time with him. And I think growing up, I always looked up to him really to kind of, I wanted to be like him. And then that's really what got me into it. And then I started playing from the age of 5. I think I joined a team called Horsepath, where I had people like Luke Southwood, who's at Reading as well. He was in my team as well. So we had a really strong team. A couple lads who went on to play in academies. And one of my best mates when I was younger, his dad was the manager. So it was really good. It was easy, and then I started playing there when I was 5, and then I went on to
Obviously, then you moved into playing for Reading in the youth teams. Did you obviously feel the step up in quality when you joined, and how did you find sort of the new surroundings?
Yeah, well, I think so. When I was about, I think I was 6. We the summer tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
We was my team Horsepath. We went to a tournament in Reading, which was in the at the Majesty Stadium. There's a dome. Which we went to a tournament in there, and so I was 6 at that time, and then at the tournament I had a guy called Jeff Warner, who was the academy manager at the time at Reading. He took me and my mum and dad into the office and just said they'd like me to sign for when I turned 7. They'd like me to sign for the academy. So really it was all the players at that time were kind of going into it anyway. So the players from other teams and obviously my team as well, we was all coming from academies. We were so young as well. So to be honest, I can't really remember if it was much of a step up. But to be fair, for me, I think they were probably my best times. Where I used to score a lot of goals. It's a lot less serious. You know what I mean? You get to play against the best teams in the country. You're going to Tottenham, Chelsea. All them teams, and playing against all them lot. And yeah, so it was good.
obviously, I work in a school, and thinking at 6 years old, going into an office is just like mental for any like child. you Did you sort of remember what was going on at the time when you went into the office, or?
I don't think no. To be fair, I didn't. Like, at the time I was training with Southampton as well. I was there, but it was only like a soccer school which was based in Oxford, which I used to go to. So back then, I think it was just all about fun. Like, I just wanted to have fun. I love playing football. Every time you'd see me when I was a kid, I'd be playing football somewhere, whether it be at the park with my friends or if I was in my back garden at home or at my nan and granddad's house playing with my uncle or whatever. I was always playing football. So for me, it was just normal. And then, it obviously changed because it was like going from playing in with your friends every weekend, then you're going into like academy football, which is a lot different. It's run a lot better, and it's a lot different. So yeah, it is a bit weird and it is different, but it's good, obviously.
Yeah, of course. And then you moved through the age groups. Can you sort of recall the times in which sort of like, what did you feel like your footballing education went at Reading?
Yeah, I think, listen, like, it speaks for itself. I think the Reading Academy, the way it's portrayed by everyone, I think everyone knows how good it is. Listen, you get the best of the best pretty much at Reading. You got such great coaches there, people that really really want to help you, and I think a lot of them coaches have kind of they're still there to this day now. The people that were with me when I was younger. So I think they've done such an amazing job with all of us, and me in particular, I was probably pretty hard to deal with when I was a kid because I was a bit I was a bit of a baby. I used to cry if we lose and stuff like that. But I think the education from the Reading side of it is second to none. I don't think you get much better. Obviously you got the teams like Chelsea and the ones with the massive money. But when we was young, we'd compete with all them teams, even up to like when I was under 18s and stuff. We'd always compete with the best teams, and I think that says it all about Reading. They attract good players. We had every year I played in every team I had in every age group. We had some of the best teams in what they call the league. But yeah, and I think it speaks for itself with what Reading do with their players. As you can see with how many academy graduates they've had so far. So yeah, and I think it will continue to happen.
Absolutely, obviously. I went to the FA Cup game versus Blackpool, and the amount of like academy players they had in that team and held their own in that team as well is fantastic. Obviously, not many teams bring through the youth, and like you say, that's a massive positive for the club moving forward.
Yeah, I just think the quality of what the players are playing with, in their own age groups, kind of help them for that step up. I think. The players I found it, when I was obviously younger and I was getting like drafted in and out of training with the first team and stuff, you see the quality of your team and you go in to train with the first team and you do feel like you can hold your own. And, and I think that's only credit to what you're playing with and the people that are coaching you and stuff like that. They help you a lot with that. And I think that obviously reflects on how many players that Reading have taken into the first team and had academy graduates.
Obviously, before you sort of had your stints in the first team, you were in the under-23s. What did you feel like was your most formative years in the sort of setup in Reading? Obviously, scoring 20 goals and 17 assists, and you sort of got a consistent run of games for the team.
Yeah, I'd say the 23s is good for a certain amount of time for sure. Course, for me, yeah. I think in the end it kind of like. I kind of faded out of it. I didn't really want to be playing in them games for much longer. So, but I'd say for me, the best time I had was probably under 18s, my second year scholar. I captained the youth team for the first half of the season, up until Christmas. And then I done really well. I scored a lot of goals and, I helped the team do really well. I had a good partnership with Sam Smith, who's still at Reading now. He's on loan Cambridge, but we struck up a real good partnership and we scored a lot of goals and won a lot of games. We had a really strong team, a really good bond of a team as well. We all enjoyed ourselves. And I think, for me, that was probably my best year because at Christmas time, Brian McDermott like drafted me, started putting me into the first team, and I had a few times I was on the bench, and then I made a few appearances by the end of the season, which was amazing for me. Obviously, being 17 at that time, and obviously, in a way, it was quite hard at the end of the season when I saw he had been sacked and stuff, and I was hoping obviously for the next season he still would have been there because I think I was thoroughly in his plans at that time. So, but yeah, that's what happens. But I'd say that was probably my best year of my career at that time, I'd say.
What a fantastic manager as well to notice yourself at a young age. It was obviously a shame. What did you feel when he obviously went? Did you feel like your chances were going to be slim? Hence why you wanted to sort of move on to newer pastures and went on to like go out on loan and things like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's quite hard being that young. You kind of like for me, I was with the first team every single day from Christmas time. So
yeah.
Being that age and doing that and being around them people, you kind of, I don't know. I think I kind of felt myself like, I don't know. I wouldn't say I didn't feel like I would have had a chance when I come back, but I just think I could have maybe prepared for it to happen more because I thought, I was there at that time coming back to pre-season, but I kind of let it get the better of me, I'd say, and I was still a bit childish and I didn't deal with it in maybe the best way. So that's probably why it didn't happen. But then that's why, in the end, I decided that I felt like I needed to go on loan and stuff.
And obviously then you went on loan to two teams, Coventry and Aldershot. What do you feel you took away from those two loan spells? Do you feel like you matured in those times?
I'd say the Coventry one, yeah, 100%. I went there and kind of, it was obviously a different thing. Like being at Reading, you're not in the first team change room. Like when I moved in when I was 17, I was still in the under 18 change room, but I was just training with the first team every single day and then following what they were doing. So I wasn't really like with them. So when I was 18 at the time, going to Coventry and then getting moved into a first team dressing room and the pressures there and everything. I think for me that was probably the best thing that happened to me. It's probably my best decision that I made. In the sense of playing games and stuff, I didn't really play as much as what I would have liked to. That's probably based on myself. Like I kind of, I didn't really do the right things for me to be able to play in the game. So, but the time that I got there and the time that I spent there, I think was a massive learning curve for me. And then, coming back to Reading, it kind of helped me a lot to even help other people with their decision of going out alone. I think, when I remember when I first went back to Reading at that time, I went into the 23s and we all had like a big discussion with some of the coaches and they asked me about the experience of going out on loan, and I think I told everyone pretty much that if you get an opportunity to, obviously I was lucky enough to be able to go into League Two, but some people are not that lucky. But even just going out on loan anywhere, even if it's to conference South, just getting the experience of playing in them games and it does help you a lot. And being around, listen, like you wanna fight for something. In the 23s, you're kind of fighting for something, but realistically, you're fighting to get into the first team of the club you're playing for. Whereas when you're out on loan, you're really fighting to either get promoted or not get relegated or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So for me, I was lucky enough to obviously go to Coventry and we ended up getting promoted, which was amazing. Yeah. So yeah.
Was that in the League Two playoff final?
Yeah, League Two playoff. We played Exeter, beat them 3-1, I think it was. So yeah, that was good. But obviously the Aldershot loan, I think, was a lot different for me. I got pretty much advised like by people around me that at that time things weren't really going to plan at Reading. We had, I think Paul Clement was the manager at the time, and he wasn't really looking at young players at that time. So for me, I think, and I had like a lot of discussions with the people that are close to me. We decided that they thought at that time I couldn't have been able to go out and loan in the league because the transfer window weren't open anyway. But I decided to go to Aldershot for the month that I did, just because I was probably ended up going to leave Reading at that time and maybe go somewhere in the January window. But yeah, ended up going out for a month there and trying to get get a few games in proper football under my belt just to be prepared if I did go back to Reading, and then I was probably going to go elsewhere. But, luckily enough, when I got back, Jose Gomez come in and, changed everything for me, really.
Obviously, I looked at a couple of newspaper articles as well, although sometimes news articles are not the best things to look at. One of them said that Jose Gomez changed your whole sort of, I think, perspective at the time at Reading. Obviously, he gave you a few more opportunities as opposed to other managers did when you were there. How do you feel?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that's 100% true. Like, I think when he come in, he really put into perspective everything for me, and it was I come back for a week from Aldershot, and then he come in as the manager, and we had a 23s game at the training ground against Norwich, and we were playing on the main pitch in the training ground, and he was watching. He just come in, and then I had a really good game. I think I scored a goal or something, and I played really well. And then as I was walking off the pitch after, he pulled me, him and his coaching staff, and just said to me, like, "You're going to be with me now, but we need to get you physically fit to be playing in the Championship."
Yeah.
So from that day on, really, the next day I come into training, and he was on me straight away, and he was just amazing for me, man. He just, he made me work the hardest I probably ever worked. But when there's a goal at the end of it, and someone really does care about you and really does want you to do, what he's telling you to do, it makes it so much easier for you to go and do it. So yeah, he was definitely a massive part of that time for me.
And then obviously you got to play in some of the Championship games, isn't it? Roughly about 10 games. How do you feel you got on in those games? Obviously, was it more difficult than you'd found it before?
Do you know what? No, I wouldn't say it was, to be fair. I think for me, it was probably the most frustrating part is I wish that I probably got a more games than what I did.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it was quite hard because at the time, obviously, the gaffer had brought in 4 or 5 new signings, and they've spent big money on these players, which is completely understandable. I'm obviously an academy player, and I'm coming up and I'm still young, but they spent a lot of money on these players who are 100% like Lucas João and Puskás and people like this who are great players. You know what I mean? Like you can't take it away from them. So, but for me, I had players in front of me that were established, and they had been playing in the first team for a long time. So it was quite hard. But I kind of wish that I would have got more opportunities to play, because I think when I did, I think I'd done really well, and I kind of showed my qualities, and I managed to score a few goals and stuff, and yeah, it was quite hard, because obviously I knew what Jose Gomez's plans was, and I knew that he had helped me so much anyway. I knew I wasn't not in his plans. I was on the bench every game that he was there, or starting. Do you know what I mean? It was never any different than that. So no, I do think that I hope to play more games at that time, but it didn't happen, and that's what it is.
And then you obviously moved on to the Memorial Stadium with Bristol Rovers. What attracted you to go to Bristol at the time? Was it more so to get the game time? Because Bristol Rovers is definitely a great club to go to in League One.
Yeah, no, I think not even just about the game time situation. I think it's more like it's a massive club, and me being here now for a while, and being at the games and stuff, you see how much of a big club it is, and it kind of makes you think, like, if you do come here and do really well for this club, you kind of could end up being a hero in like their eyes. So for me, that's amazing, and I think it speaks volumes of the club. People probably look at it and think, it's a small club and stuff like that, but I'll tell you, it isn't. Like, every game we played at home that I've been to, it's been sold out every single game. The fans are amazing, and also the manager and his staff, and they made it really kind of certain to me that when I come here, the way that we're going to play is exactly like how I'd like to play. So when I met him and I spoke with him for a bit, and he explained everything to me, it was really kind of a straightforward decision for me. I had a few options that I could have looked at and maybe like had a think about, but it was a pretty easy decision for me in the end to come here. You know, the manager's a great guy, and what he's trying to do with the team, and what I think he's starting to get now, and obviously hopefully when we go back we can continue it. Yeah, it'll be good for the club, and it's a different probably style of football that they've been used to from previous managers. I'd say I'm not really too sure on that, but yeah, I think it will be more exciting football, a lot more attacking football. So that's what I like in it.
Brilliant. And then obviously, despite the current situation, do you feel like you've fully settled in now in the area you're living, and obviously within the club?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say, you know, like the group of lads that are here, they're a great group of lads. You know, I enjoy spending every day with them. They the team morale is amazing, and I think I've been quite lucky in that, because the last change room I was in at Reading was amazing as well. You know, I think the team morale in that dressing room's incredible, and you can tell with, you know, how they're starting to do now in the league. You know, they're doing really well in the league, and they're playing great football. You know, and I think that speaks for itself, because I was there when, you know, we every day in the change room, you know, you'd have so much fun, and luckily I've gone to Bristol Rovers and it's exactly the same. You know, I'm really enjoying myself here, and I just look forward to getting back and kicking on, and hopefully, you know, winning a lot of games, and next season, you never know what happens, you know, but hopefully, you know, we can push for a promotion.
Yeah, hopefully. And then obviously internationally, you've played from under-17s up to under-23s. How did you find those experiences? Because obviously it's amazing to play for your country at any given level.
Yeah, no, it was. It's obviously a lot different type of football, and it's a lot different, you know, style of football that you go and play. It's obviously you go from your club and you go straight on international, and things are different, you know. And I think that's great for any player, you know, adapting to new formations, like new style of play, whatever it may be. You know, you're going into a different world, and I've always enjoyed myself, you know, as a kid when I was like under 16s, 17s, 18s, going through to 19s. You know, I enjoyed my football with Ireland.
Fantastic. Obviously, moving on to some more generic questions. Who are your closest mates in football?
I'd say, you know, Luke Southwood would be probably my best mate, but he's more of a friend from, you know, before football. So it's like we was best friends. I'd say, like from really young. You know, we used to spend a lot of our summers together and stay over each other's houses for days on days. You know, and spend so much time together. And you know, it never really changed. You know, I lived with him for 3 years when we like went into the 23s at Reading. You know, we lived in houses together and stuff. So I'd say him. You know, Tom Mack, Gabriel Osho, Omar, Richards. I'd say them sort of people would be at Reading. You know, obviously growing up with them, they'd be my best mates. But at Bristol, probably, you know, Johnson Clark Harris would be one of my good mates, because I knew him from before at Coventry, and same with Tom Davis. You know, I knew him before Coventry, but it's quite hard at Bristol because I think I get on really well with everyone. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the same with Reading. So it's pretty hard to say, because you do spend time with different people. Yeah. You know what I mean? No matter what it is. So yeah, but I'd say them lot.
And then what sort of is your best ground that you've played in? You've played at the Majayski. Maybe what sort of stadiums did you play in internationally?
Internationally? Oh, not sure. I think I played in a stadium in Bulgaria in the Euro Championships. It was, but I don't know what it's called. But that was amazing. It was a really nice stadium. But I don't know. I'd probably have to say Stamford Bridge, maybe, when we played I played there for the under-18s in the Youth Cup quarterfinals. Played there. Stadium of Light the other week, I played there. That was amazing. Yes, that's a great stadium. Yeah, great stadium. I don't know. That's a hard question, really. I think I played in quite a few. The Riverside's nice. The Middlesbrough Stadium.
Yeah.
Like that. I like that stadium, to be fair. I don't know. There's too many, really, aren't there? Aston Villa Stadium. What's it called?
It's the Villa Park.
Villa Park, yeah. Villa Park, that's a nice stadium as well.
Testing my football knowledge there. And then obviously, this is going to be even more hard. Who is the best player you've played with or played against? Because you've
played with. Yeah. It's quite easy for me. I'd say John Swift. Definitely. What a player, man. You know, like the things that he does. I think he goes a bit. It's unrecognised by a lot of people. The actual stuff that he does. You know, he not only works his socks off every single game. You know, when we used to get our results in the change room, I used to look at, like, we used to see his. I used to be amazed at how much he ran back. You know, and technically, he's incredible. Like, what a player. The player I played against, it's a hard one. Maybe Ovi Ajari in training. Worst player to ever
He's a great player as well.
Oh, Jesus, man. Yeah.
I think from my perspective, I think Reading, sort of in general, is massively underrated with the players that they've got at their dispense. Obviously, you've said Ovi Ajaria, John Swift. There's plenty in there. Liam Moore. There's many in there that are underrated that could go on to do better things, and I'm sure you could see that in Reading and Bristol Rovers as well.
Yeah, I think from Reading's point of view, I think should be really excited. I think the manager, you know, that's gone there now is going to do a great job for them. He's a good guy, and he's he's a really good manager. I think he'll be good for that team. The quality in the team is you know, you don't even have to really say. You know, you got Liam, who's not only obviously a great player, he's a good captain too. And there's players that you wouldn't even probably like mention that you know I used to see in training. Used to be like, well, like people like Sam Baldock and these people like Sam Baldock's one of the best players I think I've played with. The ability and the way he plays, and he's not only that, he's an amazing person as well, and makes it better. So, but same with Bristol Rovers, man. Like it's the same. Obviously, it's been quite difficult. We haven't won a lot of games since like when I joined, anyway. But now the players that are there, you know, the quality that's there, and of course now we're lucky enough to have, you know, with the manager that we got now as well, and staff. Yeah, I think it's exciting times for not just Reading, but for Bristol Rovers too.
Of course, and my last sort of question is, what have you got any personal memorabilia from previous times playing? Maybe some boots that you've played in, or a shirt that you've played in.
Yeah, well, I've got a shirt from when I scored the 2 goals at Plymouth.
Nice.
That was probably one of the best days of my life, to be fair, that day. So I had to keep that. Got my debut shirt still. They're all at my mum and dad's house, to be fair. They keep them. But I've got like a lot of Ireland shirts and you know, a lot of things. You know, when I won trophies going away with Ireland and stuff like that. So yeah, I've got a lot of that sort of stuff. I always like to keep stuff for myself, you know, to keep. And then, you know, in my place, in the place like here in Bristol, I'm going to get a couple shirts framed and put them up on the wall. So you know, yeah.
Obviously, I was going to ask, just in that FA Cup versus Blackpool, did you sort of know that you were going to Bristol Rovers at the time?
Yeah. Well, it had already been done pretty much. I think I met the manager the night before that game, and obviously I knew I was on the bench anyway the next day. But I spoke with the Reading manager about it, and he was really good with me, man. Like when I went in to speak to him about it and stuff, he you know, about leaving, he kind of said to me, you know, he didn't really necessarily want me to go because he felt that I still had a future there, but you know, he kind of was great with me because he thought about how I was feeling at the time, and knowing what I was, you know, when I went in to speak to him and said, like, I need to go out and play, I want to go and play, and you know, I had interest, so I was like, I need to kind of open up to these offers, and he was amazing. So we spoke about it, and he said to me, obviously, Bristol Rovers was still in the FA Cup at the time, so if he would have brought me on, then I would have been cup tied for, you know, for Bristol. So we kind of had a discussion, and he said he'll put me on the bench, but he won't bring me on. Cool. So that was amazing. I was really happy with the way he was with me about that situation. You know, he was great to me, and I'll always be grateful for that.
Yeah, man. My actual last question. In the friendly at the Majeski, you obviously played Chelsea. What was it like scoring? Obviously, some people may play it down and say it's a friendly, but for anybody scoring against the team that you were playing against, what was it like?
Nah, yeah, I didn't really care as a friendly. I was going mad, to be fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
speech scoring against Chelsea, you know, obviously. And to be fair, for us anyway, for our
Yeah,
team, you know, when we were
100%.
speaking in the changing room before, it was a big game for us, you know, because we had to prepare for the start of the season, which was obviously only like 7 days away from that time. So for me, yeah, I can't even speak. I can't even like tell you how I felt. It was the best feeling, one of the best feelings. Maybe apart from the two goals at Plymouth, you know, that was probably my best feeling I ever had.
And it wasn't even just like it wasn't a youth team. It was like Ross Barkley, I think, was in there. Fikayo Tomori, all those sort of players were playing. So it wasn't just any
Nah,
old
it
team.
was a strong team. So yeah, we done really well that day. I think they beat us 5-4, I think, in the end or something. That was
Yeah,
like
something silly.
But yeah, you see the quality of their players, you know. But we were just listen. It's just for me anyway. It's an experience that you know I've had in my life, you know, that I can say. And you know, I scored against Chelsea, whether it's in pre-season or not. I don't really doesn't really bother me. But yeah, it was a great day, and my family, you know, and my missus' family, they were all there watching. So you know, we had a nice dinner after it. So it was good.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Josh, for coming on. Obviously, it'd be good to see you back in Bristol Rovers' team, sort of pushing for promotion in League One.
Yes, Nate. Thank you very much.
No worries. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, please share it. Please look at our social medias. We've got a new Twitter account, Sam Talks, and obviously, if you'd like to go and follow Josh, please do. If you liked the video, please leave a like, share it, and I will see you in the next video.